Welcome back to Straight Facts. We have done deals on this show, advanced talks to go into Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, of course, in their pursuit of Rice, Timber, Lavia, City on the prowl as it stands right now. We're taking a look at Liverpool's window as well. But I'm joined by the brilliant, the wonderful, the Don Husam. How are you, my friend?
This is the first time someone's called me the brilliant, the wonderful on an introduction. I like it. I'm a run with that one. I'm good. I'm very good, my brother. And we've got a lot to talk about today, so I'm looking forward to it. Certain fan bases I'm going to be speaking on, but I'll wait for it to come next.
There's loads, and actually the first place I wanted to start was with Man United. New bid expected for Mason Mount. They're talking between 55 and 60 million. It's probably going to be 60, including add-ons, 55 million as base. There's a little feeling going round. A lot of the in the knows, a lot of the journalists think now that this is kind of it. United are saying take it or leave it. He's agreed personal terms. His agents have kind of released that £185,000 a week deal. They're really pushing the narrative that he signed a cheaper deal at United than at Chelsea. So do you think this one will get over the line now?
Yes, because according to the reports, Man United have a history of caving in. They said it, not me. I didn't say nothing. The journalist said it, I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. I think it will happen. Havertz to Arsenal, Man United to Mount to Man United, these two things, I genuinely, like 2 months ago, if you said it to me, I wouldn't believe you. But now they're both happening. And the Mount one, like, agendas aside, I keep thinking it through in my head, just like from a football perspective, from like a tactical perspective, from whatever. And it's just not making sense to me. I don't think Mount to Man United makes sense at all. And the reason why I say that is I think that midfield three, that is probably going to be the midfield three, which is Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount. I just don't think it works. I genuinely do not think it works. And I think there's a problem with ball possession, ball keeping in that midfield three. That's going to be the problem. It's basically like three guys that maybe I'm not going to go OTT because I know a lot of the people go OTT with like Bruno and Mount's passing. They act like they can't pass the football at all, like they're Craig Dawson. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to say that for their position in midfield, they're probably not the best at keeping the football or passing the football. The simple passes I'm talking about, not the final third passes. So you look at these guys, happy birthday, Victor. You look at these guys and it's like, how will this work? And I just don't see it working. That's the thing. And is the price a little bit too much? Maybe just a tad bit too much because it is Mount's final contract here. Is Mount that much of a necessity in where United have to do it like a year before and stuff like that? Maybe in the eyes of Ten Hag it is. And this is something that Ten Hag is taking, like this is Ten Hag's decision, obviously. I know the budget isn't his decision. The budget is the Glazer's decision. But this is, of course, Ten Hag's decision. So if he thinks he can make it work, we will see what happens. I think the only place where this will be effective is one phase of play, and that's the counter-attack. That's the phase of play.
I hear that. Let me ask a question.
Yes.
Why don't you think it works profile-wise based on the way we play football?
I don't think it works profile-wise because Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount is a midfield three that's going to be playing hot potato with the football. That's the problem. Because you've got Bruno and Mount who want to make that final third pass, and Casemiro where passing... Casemiro is like an old-school DM. Like, his passing ain't really his forte. Like, he's the tackler, he's that.
Yeah, I get
And you play against the teams next season, you play the Ten Hag style. I think... You've got about 5-6 teams that are probably going to park the bus against you, stuff like that. The teams that are going to hold a low block. Those teams that are going to hold a low block against you, you're going to struggle against. Those are the teams that you will struggle against. Low block teams, you're going to struggle against them. It's going to be good in counter-attack only, but all teams counter-attack. Every single team in this league counter-attack.
I understand that. I think for me, I understand what you're saying now based on what's at Man United, but there will be another midfield signing. And I think that when our second midfield signing comes in, maybe it'll all make a little bit more sense. Plus, big talk today as well of us looking at Onana. And we've met with him today Nazir Kinsella has said that United,
Which Onana?
The goalkeeper.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's going to help us as well, because that's going to help us be able to play out from the back easier, which is going to mean teams will press us less. Teams with top-level goalkeepers get pressed less. Pep Guardiola himself has said this. I've read this in about 3 articles from him over the years. When you have a team with a competent goalkeeper from playing out from the back, it's hard to press, or you don't want to press so much, because as soon as you have 3 or 4 men press the back line, goalies of that level dink a 30-yard ball over the top into a massive hole in the middle. That will also help Man United maintain possession every bit as much as getting in a Caicedo or a De Jong or a Rice into the middle. But I do agree with you. There needs to be something else added to the midfield to complement the signing of Declan Rice. For me, if you're ordering steak and chips, he's the peas. He's nice to have on there. It's a nice little thing to have on the plate, but he's not the meat. He's not the fries. You need other things around him. You've got Casemiro. Rice can be added to it, but you just need something else to kind of bring it all together. We don't know who that's going to be yet. Could be Lavia, could be Caicedo, could be somebody completely left field that none of us are talking about right now. I actually quite like the idea of Paulinho at Fulham. I know a lot of people say they're
asking for too much money, though.
They want £80 million, but yeah, look, I'm confident because I trust my manager. I believe in him. I think he has an eye for talent. I think he knows what it is he's doing. He's window last year, and I'm sure I remember seeing tweets from you ridiculed it that we wouldn't improve, we wouldn't make top 4, we wouldn't win trophies. And I think with the signings,
I don't think Ten Hag has the best eye for talent. I disagree with that.
You not?
Yeah, I don't think he has the best eye for talent. I think Ten Hag has a little bit of a, maybe not that best of a talent idea. That's the thing. And okay, before I discuss that, because I know you'd want to ask me on that, because you'd pull it up, and I have to give you examples and all that, and I'm here for it. Here's the thing: when you say like other pieces are gonna come through in midfield, fair, but then who's gonna go to the bench? Because he ain't gonna bench Bruno, he ain't gonna bench Casemiro, and Mount coming to Man United, he isn't gonna be like sign up to Man United to sit on the bench, because he could have done that at Chelsea anyway.
It's a really good question, and I look at it this way. I don't have an answer for it. I don't have a straight answer. I'm not going to pretend to know and sit here and BS away. For me, I look at Mason Mount as somebody that will play some games in midfield. But Man United are going to fight on all fronts next year. We have got to try and win 4 trophies. So rotation becomes a massive part of Manchester United's team. One of the key areas where I think Mason Mount will be used is giving Bruno Fernandes a rest. He's played in this since the beginning of the season until now. No player in world football has played as many games as him. He plays 70 matches for club and country. We have to try and get that down by 15 to 20. Not because Bruno's not effective, but we run that man into the ground. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, as an example. And I actually don't think we need our quote-unquote strongest 11 for every single game we play. They're at least going to be in all comps, 10, 12, 13 games at home this season, where you rotate. The greatest Fergie teams did it.
Fair.
The Klopp teams do it. The Pep teams do it. And that's what we need to be able to do. Now, if Mount comes in, by the way, and blows the roof off the place, and actually, listen, if he ends up benching some of those players you've mentioned, even a new signing, I don't care. As long as we're a better team, I'm not precious about it. But I think he will be someone that plays in multiple positions. I think he'll start quite a few games, but I think you'll also see him as an impact player at times as well. Yes, £55 million is a lot of money, but Gibbs White went for 40 million. So players are getting more and more expensive all the time. So it's going to be an intriguing one. I'm more focused on, now Mount looks like it's happening. Getting Onana through the door is massive, in my opinion. We need a progressive goalkeeper. We need someone that, when I watched Edison, when I watched Alisson, when I watched Onana in that Champions League final, I was so jealous. Man. Like from my point of view, watching you all be able to move that ball around, the amount of times Alisson's under pressure being pressed. And I think that's my goalie. We're going 1-0 down. And he invariably drops the shoulder, turns, and then finds a 25-yard pass perfect to somebody in space so they have time to attack. To have that added to our arsenal, Onana next season, if we sign him, becomes every bit as important to our attack as Bruno, as Rashford, as Mount, as whoever the striker is. Like, building up from the back is key. And then I think you'll see the next stage of Erik ten Hag's football start to come through with that additional midfielder as well. So, yeah, that's what I really want.
He could play right wing as well in another world. It's a possibility. Chelsea fans will tell you he played right wing, and some Chelsea fans argue his best time at the club was when he played right wing. Actually,
that may be part of the. we've all done this with our own clubs, rivals. You go, I don't see where so-and-so fits in. You know, no one would have guessed in January that Darwin would have been on the left and Gakpo through the middle.
Yeah, but Darwin don't fit us anyway. He does not fit us.
I hear you, but again, nobody. If you'd have sat there as a rival and said, I think Darwin will get put out on the left this season, you'd have been called a hater. You know, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. So, look, it's going to be a real intriguing one to see how it all pans out. Viewers, let us know your thoughts and feelings in the comments section below. I did want to ask you. Obviously, we've got Arsenal chat coming up soon. New £100 million bid for Arsenal coming in for Rice. We're talking about some done deals on the show as well. New bid for Timber. Talks with City and Rice advancing as well. All of that to come on the show. So stay with the Football Terrace. Don't go anywhere else. But I wanted to ask you about Liverpool because you bought McAllister and nothing else has happened since. There's talk of a 55 million bid for Tchouaméni, which is around 30 million below the asking price. You're not going in for Caicedo. Lavia looks like you're well behind the pecking order on that. The news around Kone and Thuram has gone very quiet indeed. You're someone that's always been outspoken about the lack of activity in your window. What are you thinking right now?
I mean, Liverpool, we just suck. That's just the truth. You know, we're brilliant at letting, the fans down, letting everyone down. At least the fans like myself and others, who's got standards, wants to win, who consistently wants us to just get better and improve. I don't know if I should start with the fans first or start with the club first. From the fans' perspective, let me just say this because I just want to call out certain people's hypocrisy. People who called me out, people from the other side of the coin, if you would always come to. Funny enough, there was a guy who actually DM'd me yesterday. Scouser from Liverpool and stuff, and he starts telling me, you just chat shit. And I'm like, you know what, let me respond to this guy. 2 minutes of conversation, he's like, you know what, you're making fair points. I'm like, I just want us to win, bro. It's not even that deep. I'm not doing this so I could quote unquote complain. You look at this whole Liverpool situation, and people said, if they don't give Klopp Bellingham, we're all gonna turn. We're all gonna turn on the ownership. They didn't give him Bellingham, they didn't turn. They're like, if they don't give Klopp his priority targets, we're not gonna turn. They're still not turning, even though Klopp's not getting his priority targets. That's the issue for me. It's just I think it's become an ego thing with this whole FSG in, FSG out conversation. People are just, the FSG-ers have just gone beyond egotistical agenda levels where they're just, and they've got PTSD from Hicks from Hicks and Gillett as well, sorry. So that's another thing. With our football club, the latest, as to what I know, is essentially Kone is now is a possibility, not a probability. So I don't think it's something that will happen. But because football is a crazy world, you never know. We have to keep it open. Like maybe he joins Liverpool Football Club, that type of thing. I think Inacio's off the table because we pissed off Sporting Lisbon. You got Bella Kotchap basically from Southampton and Mickey van de Ven from Wolfsburg that we're looking at. Is probably going to be Mickey van de Ven that ends up being a Liverpool centre back. And Kefren Thuram right now looks like to be the main target for us in midfield. It looks like we're going to be getting Kefren Thuram. Would I be shocked whatsoever if we wake up tomorrow and we see newspaper headline Kefren Thuram to Liverpool is off because of price tag? Absolutely not. This is just what we do. We just have the same issue, the same problem over and over and over again. And it's just getting to the stage where it's pathetic because there's just no scenario in which we have actual money to spend. The reported budget is actually 100 million plus sales, which was never going to be enough this summer. It was never going to be enough. Yeah. We're looking, around Europe, the going rate for these, even the money, the quote unquote money ball signings is just too high. And I see this, the journalists every day with just audacity to lie to people. You've got people going again for some reason. Liverpool want Barella. Yeah, Liverpool want Barella. I want Triana. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I cannot take her away from ASAP Rocky. We cannot take her away from Inter because we have no money. We have money, but we don't spend it because we're unserious. We're not bringing the money to the table. I have never seen a more attractive club do more BS transfers in my life in my life. The most attractive club in the world should be able to attract the most attractive players in the world. And we have that pull. We really do. I think really like Klopp, you look at the players, like you could tell him, come play with Salah, come play with Van Dijk, come play with Trent. These are players that have been on podiums, blah, blah, blah. And we're doing all of this and just signing like a bunch of youngsters, signing, people who need to improve, all of this. And it's just like Chouameni, again, you see us linked to him and it's like 55 million. 55 million. Like Madrid are going to take a loss on one of the most exciting world prospects who play the World Cup final.
And you got to use your head. If Rice is going for 100 odd million, if Caicedo is going to go for 80 odd million, if Fulham are asking 80 million for Paulinho, you're never getting Chouameni for 55 million euros. So that's like 48 million pounds. It's never going to happen. And the Barella links, Tonelli has just gone for 70. So if Tonelli is 70, Barella is 80 or 90. And
he's worth every penny. He's worth every penny of that.
And mate, he is. But I almost want you to spend 90 million pounds on a player just to prove the whole we didn't have the money for Jude Bellingham was a lie and you just got rejected. I kind of want it to happen just to play that narrative down. But about 10, 11 days ago, I was talking about Liverpool and I'm saying, look, if they bring in Thuram and McAllister and there's a few other players I saw them linked to at the time, and they were talking about doing it quickly, thinking it's a really good summer. You're adding great quality, great potential, great energy to a very good team already. I think that puts legs around some of the older players and get a great preseason in and Liverpool go again. But I keep saying this about a number of clubs. Man United are in the space, so I'm not being a hypocrite. Chelsea with selling people and they sold half their squad to Saudi this week. Liverpool's first preseason game, I believe, is on the 19th of July. That's just under 3 weeks away, or just over 3 weeks away. Training will therefore be starting in about 2 weeks. You lot have such a big season ahead of you because of the disaster last year. This is just ridiculous time waste. And I saw some report that Liverpool fans, probably the same people that attack you, were thorning over. Oh, look, we're waiting for Thuram to finish the under-21s tournament, then we'll buy him. Firstly, what if he has a brilliant tournament and the price goes up? It's just a nonsense. Maybe what's happening here is you're not prepared to pay the price for him right now. And you're in the go. That's what it comes down to. But the way I see it getting spun, and equally, I'm seeing Man United get ridiculed. We're in for Onana. We've put in a bid or an inquiry for Rice. We might not get him. We're trying to get Mason Mount. By the way, a player that Liverpool wanted. Whether he fits you better than us is irrelevant. You wanted him and you're not going in for him now because Man United are. We're getting ridiculed for doing nothing. And we've got financial issues and a takeover going on. I'm not saying from you, I'm hearing no noise about Liverpool. I know they got McAllister, so maybe that's giving them a little bit of leeway. But you guys need a massive summer because the only form of success next year is winning the title. So it's not about me being salty. I'm just looking at it and thinking, again, the mainstream media is just silent on you. And I don't think that does you any favors, mate, because it means fans like you get shut down by the top reds. The media aren't having a go. So you guys just almost cruise on autopilot through the summer. And if you don't buy enough, there's no way you're winning the title. It's impossible.
100%. And you're not being salty at all. What you're saying is true. And thing is, FSG do have the media in their back pockets. It's very well documented. The likes of James Pearce and all the guys, we've heard them speak before. It ain't no shocking news. The guys who work for The Athletic or for that article or for this article, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to start naming names, So like they're all pro FSG. No one in the media really speaks against them. We've had a report that actually did come out from The Athletic that Liverpool ranks 19th in the Premier League for net owner funding over the last 5 years at minus 37 million. 19th in the Premier League, which is never good enough. And I don't know how people are accepting of it. And it's just like, it's getting to a stage where it's really, these conversations are just jarring. Like, it's kind of just the same shit over and over. Like, do you know more than Klopp? Do you know more than FSG? Trust the club. Trust is earned. We finished 5th. I ain't gonna trust the club. I'm sorry. My trust has dried up. So this whole trust the club thing is just BS. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'm gonna take it a step further. You're talking about McAllister. I'm gonna show you the reality of our fan base. Even if we didn't sign McAllister, even let's assume the absolute worst case scenario happened and we signed no one this summer, people still wouldn't call out the ownership. People still wouldn't call out the ownership. People still wouldn't speak against them because people are hypocrites. The conversation at the end is going to be like, We've signed £100 million midfielder in Trent. We don't need to sign another midfielder. We're just gonna invert him. And my thing is, the reason with why you can't reason with these people. No one calls Zinchenko midfielder. No one calls Cancelo midfielder. They're both inverted fullbacks. That's what we're trying to do with Trent. We're not trying to play him at the 8. We're inverting him to give us ourselves an extra player in midfield. So we can't look at that as some sort of savior. We need to sign players. This is the summer to sign players. And we need to be serious about it. Because Liverpool Football Club, as you know, Terry, we don't do bidding wars. As soon as a club walks in for a player and we see it's going to be 1v1 and I'm going to pay 2 million more and you 5 million more and it's going to be add-ons this and add-ons that and we're going to have disagreements, we just walk away. We're like, we're going to go find someone else. Even the players that we're looking at right now, I think Thuram's a fantastic signing if we do sign him. I think Kone would be a great signing if we do sign him. Kone is very highly unlikely at this point, I think. But the rest of them, like the likes of a Vega or these guys, like, would they take us to where what's required? I don't really think so. Even Mickey van de Ven, the centre backs that we were linked with at the start compared to now is different, and it's all due to the money. Jurriën Timber that you're going to ask me about later, I know for a fact Liverpool Football Club wanted Jurriën Timber as soon as the window started. We pulled out of the deal due to monetary reasons. I think we valued him, I swear, at like 20 million less than what Ajax basically are valuing him at. So, like, that's another thing. We go like from Timber to Inacio to now we're looking at Mickey van den Ven, who's like some young Wolfsburg centre backs. It's just frustrating, man. It's just frustrating because you would have thought after we finished 5th and had a dreadful season and Liverpool was a meme, they'd actually be serious in the summer transfer window. And they've decided, they've said F that. So we will see what happens. And I just want to say one thing, because I know Liverpool fans are going to be watching this, going to be like, oh my God, the transfer window hasn't ended, blah, blah, blah. I already have the test and I already have the answers. If I complain before the window starts, you're going to tell me, wait until the window starts and then complain. If I complain during the transfer window, you'll tell me, wait till the window ends and we will assess the situation. You can complain then. And if the window shuts and I'm complaining about transfers, you tell me the window's shut, there's nothing we can do now. I already know this. So please don't tell me wait until the transfer window finishes and blah, 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 because I already know the answers to the test. Because when the transfer window shuts, you're going to come tell me, Husam, the transfer window's shut. There's nothing we can do now. Why are you complaining? It's just the same shit, to be honest with you. I already know the answers. I'm going to be honest with you.
Mate, I hear you. And look, I've seen it with Man United fans in exactly the same way in the past. And as I said already, you guys just need a very, very big summer. You need quality players top to bottom coming in. And it just isn't happening. And I think that it's ridiculous of Liverpool fans to play it down. It really is. But I mean, Liverpool have got a lot of what I call TPFs, toxic positivity fans, almost not being positive about everything at every moment. And football is always about balance. There are times you defend your club. There are times you criticize your club. And it's about being, for some people, are always negative, and it does get boring. I know for a fact you're not always negative because I do a lot of match reactions with you, a lot of top 6 shows, straight facts. There's a mixture with you. All you're doing is demanding that the team improves, but you're not angry about every little thing the club does. You defend your club to rivals a lot of the time as well. So it's about the balance being right. And as you say, Liverpool are hard. I feel a bit sorry for Liverpool fans as well, especially the ones in the content world, because there's little or nothing for you guys to talk about all summer at the moment. And it's a difficult thing, really. And people love to talk about their clubs. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from. We have some super chats here. This one's from Neil O'Callaghan, who says, I agree with you, Husam. FSG have taken us as far as they can and need to sell. Otherwise, barren run for a few years to come. FSG out.
Well done, Neil, man. Well done, Neil. We're actually, I'm talking to Kurdish, who's also been on the terrace. We're looking at probably even organizing a plane for the first game as well of the season. So first home game of the season, we might fly a plane over Anfield, because I think we're not going to be fully satisfied with this summer. So we're just going to continue to do what we have to do, man.
I hear you on that. Liverpool are finished until their owners leave. They have no interest in competing. Also, we signed Tonali whilst he was at the Under-21 Cup. Save Salah and Trent. That's come from Philip, who is a Newcastle fan. Well, that's exactly it. Tonali's there. He has been signed. You know, why wait? Like, wait until after a tournament to sign a player that you already want is stupid, because all you end up risking is their price goes up. If he has and that's only the Under-21s, but if Tonali goes there and kills it, AC Milan are adding 10, 20 million pounds more on. You see West Ham are doing it now. They're adding more on to Declan Rice because he won the Conference League as captain, and it makes him more valuable. So yeah, absolutely agree with you there. It's not only FSG. You should put Klopp into that category. Also, they both should be called out, is what Zotta Stevens says.
I've criticized Klopp, Zota, before for multiple different reasons. I've criticized him for his sentimentality. I've criticized him for his like his unwillingness, if you would like, to let go of players and all of that. Like, I've criticized Klopp, but when it comes to transfers, the budget is only so limited. Here's the thing: Klopp wanted Jude Bellingham. We know this for a fact. It's not like a Husam thing or a Terry thing. The whole world knew that Klopp wanted Jude Bellingham. We moved away from that. We already know that Klopp wants Caicedo, for example. We know that Klopp wants Barella, for example, because we've been linked to him every single summer. We know that Klopp wants this guy, wants Chouameni. Why are we not getting these players? Financial reasons. That's the thing. So I cannot blame the guy. Is telling me, okay, every single summer, Terry's probably done a title or had a newspaper say Barella Liverpool for the last 3-4 years. So I already know Klopp wants the guy, but we can't afford him, and we can't afford Chouameni, and we can't afford Caicedo. So this is the thing. Like, people say stuff like Klopp is an enabler, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Rafa Benitez spoke up against the ownership, and that didn't help. That didn't work out. Conte spoke up against ownership. That didn't work out. You know, like, it's just, I don't really know what Klopp's fault is when it comes to this whole thing. Are we saying Klopp got pissed off in like two press conferences before the end of the season? There was a journalist called Carl, and he was like, "You've been to 5,999 press conferences. You already know the answer. It's not like we have lumps of money in front of us and we don't spend it. So let's just speak a logical question to Zota. Are you telling me if I give Klopp 300 million to spend, he's gonna go like, no, I don't want to spend it? Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? Like, be real. If you give him 300 million, he's no longer gonna look at Thuram. He's no longer gonna look at Kone. He's gonna go call Madrid and give 100 million to Chouameni. He'll do that. But we just don't have the money, brother. That's the problem. No, actually, sorry, we have the money. We're refusing to spend it. It's a different argument.
Yeah, and that's what it always comes down to at the end of the day. And I think you put it absolutely right. I think the things I've kind of blamed Klopp for in the past have been more, you know, he could have changed the system he used with inverting Trent. Should have happened ages ago because he was having problems at right back and you needed more quality in the middle. The season where a couple of seasons back with the Van Dijk injury, playing centre backs in defence for weeks and weeks, and when you eventually put your midfield back in midfield and play with two defenders, you improve. That's where Klopp gets criticised. Klopp's always going to defend his club and his players when it's like, I'm happy with what I've got. We don't need midfielders. But he's saying those things because I do think it's wrong, generally speaking. There are examples when you have to call out players. If Klopp sits there in a press conference next week and says, actually, this midfield is awful, there's no way we can win the league, how does he go in that dressing room and motivate those people when he's already publicly stated? I know sometimes fans want to hear their managers call things out that they see, but this is what I'd say to most of those fans. And I would say it's to Lee Gunner. I bet if you put Lee Gunner in front of Mikel Arteta, Edu, and the players with a few cameras on him, he wouldn't speak to them the way he does on camera. I guarantee he might say how he feels, but he'd tone it down a little bit. Imagine, and that's you as a fan, you can then walk away after that. How can a manager speak so kind of candidly and so directly and horribly, and then expect to motivate people and work with them? I just don't think it works in that way. Sully here says, last night I watched a lot of Mason Mount videos to convince myself, and I came to the conclusion he isn't a bad player, but is he good enough?
That's a very good question. Very good question, that last part, you know.
And the answer is simple. Not by himself, he isn't. Man United need more than just him, in my opinion. But great super chat. I think people are quick to forget the importance of Licha, of course, Martinez at Man United when it comes to stepping into midfield. Add Onana into that, and it's a huge improvement. Yeah, I completely agree. There's a super chat for you, actually, from Mo, who says, Husam, at the same price, 85 for Caicedo or Chouameni, who would you sign?
Chouameni, all day, every day. Chouameni for me. Got to a World Cup final with France. He played unbelievable that tournament, and every time he's played, he's actually done really well. Every time I've watched him, I actually asked for him to start in the return leg for Real Madrid because I think they needed a bit of that energy in midfield. So I think Chouameni for me, I'm paying the money up for him. I think Chouameni is a better footballer all round. He's a better footballer all round, 100%.
I hear you on that. This year says, I get that, but when we needed midfielders, he said he didn't.
Zota, I've already said, look, once again, in life, we have to be balanced, right? Here's my problem. FSG outers aren't completely happy with me because sometimes I blame Jurgen Klopp. The FSG inners absolutely hate me, of course. And the people who are like, who are Kloppen, don't like it that I criticize Klopp, blah, blah, blah. And then I've got people like yourselves who maybe aren't the biggest fans of Klopp, who don't like it because I blame a lot of it on FSG. The balance in life is Jurgen Klopp's too sentimental. Jurgen Klopp has a problem with hugging players too much. He needs to be willing to let go. Jurgen Klopp should have changed the system earlier. That's a different type of problem, and the way he makes substitutions should change. But when you look at last summer, I think Jurgen Klopp 100% got it wrong. 100 million% got it wrong. Now, forget last summer. Let's move on to this summer, okay? Klopp has pivoted from Bellingham to Barella to Chouameni to Caicedo to Thuram. So, Zota, I ask you the question. If we sink even lower than Thuram and go sign a Vega or someone like that, is it still Jurgen Klopp's fault, or are you going to come out and say it's FSG's fault? The truth is, here's the bottom line. The bottom line truth is, if I give Jurgen Klopp today 300 million, tomorrow he's going to call Brighton for Caicedo. Tomorrow he's going to call Real Madrid for Chouameni. Tomorrow he's going to call Inter Milan for Barella. Yeah, I know for a fact we have twerked for Nicolo Barella beyond the point of no return. We have twerked for Nicolo so much. I've got a friend that met Pep Linders at a book signing in Dubai. And Pep Linders told him, if there's one player on this earth that and by the way, he even mentioned him in his book, Barella. So we know for a fact how much they love him. But if you're telling me that we're not willing to put the money down, I can't blame that on Jurgen. That's my thing. I'm just going to blame the people with the money source, my guy. I'm not going to blame the manager.
No, I totally agree with you there. We'll come back to some more super chats later. Hit the like and share button, people, as well. I just want to get your thoughts before we move on to Arsenal. Arsenal news coming up very soon. Rice, Timber, Lavia. They're working on so many deals at once. People keep saying to me, why are you always doing Arsenal videos this last week? Because they're in for 4 players. It's trending news. What am I going to do? Do a Liverpool video about nothing. Your thoughts on Gundo to Barcelona?
Great signing for Barcelona. I always knew Gundogan was never going to move to any Premier League club. Ever. So like it's just I don't ever think Gundogan was ever going to be a Premier League player because he captained City and all of that. So I never thought he was going to make the move to Arsenal because I think him and Zinchenko and Jesus are totally different things. I think he makes Barcelona better. And it's the exact opposite example of, for example, my club, where we're willing to sign someone like Gundogan on a 2-3 year deal. City are sticking to principle. 1 year only. You don't want it? No problem. We move on. But I think he's going to be a fantastic signing. And I think Barcelona do need a bit of that, 100%, because you look at the youngsters kind of in that midfield, like the likes of a Pedri and a Gavi. They genuinely would need a lot of guidance from the likes of Gundogan as well. So, and now he's a Champions League winner too. So he knows that story too.
Yes, certainly a good piece of business. I wanted to ask you, Jackson to Chelsea, done deal, over the line, agreed. What's your thoughts on it? I mean, I don't know. I've said all along, I don't know too much about this guy. I think he's only costing around 35 million euros for Chelsea. Their new number 9. Whether they bring in somebody more experienced or not remains to be seen, but that's who they've gone for thus far. Opinions?
It's time Chelsea start making smart signings. I'm going to put it that way. It's time Chelsea moved away from the 80 million, 90 million, 100 million pound players. He doesn't cost half as much as the other strikers that they were linked to at the start of the summer transfer window, like the likes of an Osimhen and a Kane and a blah, blah, blah. So maybe they're finally actually using their scouting network. Finally, they're using the people who actually are recommending these players, to the manager or the ownership or whoever it was. So they're probably moving it in a positive direction. But I think once again with Chelsea, I've maintained my energy the same. Terry knows this. For me, it's about who goes out the door that I think is gonna take Chelsea to the next step. Jackson, you never know with it, but he's young. He could come in, he can make a difference. He could be one of the surprise signings of the summer in which he comes in and you don't really expect him to do something unbelievable, but he gives them something good. And remember, Chelsea have had, essentially, all jokes aside, they've had no real quality striker since Diego Costa. Even last year, their top goal scorer was Havertz. The year before, it was Jorginho, and it was like singular digit goals too. It was like 8 goals, 7 goals. And the year before that, it was Mount. I think it was 10 goals. So or I think it was Yeah, it was a bit more. I think 12 goals. I think it was. So like, it's not like you look at that Chelsea team and you're like, oh, this has so many goals in it. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend that I've watched this guy week in week out and I'm gonna start doing, backflips that he joined Chelsea. Oh my god! Like, no, we'll see. He could be one of the signings that bangs and surprises us all. That's just the truth.
I'm very much the same. I don't have an out and out opinion because I haven't seen him too much. I haven't read the best things about Nicolas Jackson. I really haven't read the best stuff about him in terms of the scouting reports say he's good. I've not kind of read anything. I've tried to go back a year or two, so there isn't like a Premier League connection. Or if you read a scouting report on certain Chelsea accounts, they might hype him up a little bit more. I just wanted to kind of look at what people said 18 months ago, and he kind of reads as a good, maybe a very good player. But equally, look, this could be one of those signings at sort of 28 million pounds who comes in, hits the ground running. A lot of people kind of scoffed at Isak last year. He hasn't really done it. Look how good he looked for Newcastle. So there could be a little element of that about it as well with Chelsea. So it's not one I'm going to go in too much on, but I'm just going to say how I feel. I don't know much about him, so I'm not going to big it up as this amazing deal that's going to transform Chelsea's front line because I just don't know enough about him. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how that one pans out. Arsenal, though, and I want to go into Arsenal here, and I think there's only really one place to start today, and that's with the Declan Rice situation. So just to kind of give this a bit of background for today, Damasio has said that Man City are advancing their talks with City. No official bid has gone in yet for him, but they're confident in getting him. There's big talk of a third bid worth 100 million from Arsenal going in. Talk to me.
Last straight facts. I was here. The Arsenal fans were getting upset at me. They were getting angry at me. Oh, why is this Liverpool fan talking about Arsenal? He should talk about his own football club. Comment section. Let's all take a breather before I start speaking. Let's listen to what I'm saying. Don't look at the club I support. I just said Liverpool suck as soon as Terry asked me the question. Forget my club. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal suck too. That's just the truth. You look at this whole Declan Rice situation, and I swear to God, if somehow he doesn't end up being an Arsenal player, I genuinely don't care who they buy as a replacement, unless it's some sort of unbelievable player. They just have absolutely just bottled it. And me and Terry have spoken on this channel, and we've said, guys, Arsenal Football Club need to be serious. Arsenal Football Club need to be what? They need to be serious this summer transfer window, right? So do you guys call, because see, comment section knows last week, you guys were upset. You guys started crying. Is Kai Havertz seriousness? Is Kai Havertz seriousness? No. If you have chased Declan Rice for so long, and he ends up being a City player, what do you want me to say? Oh my God, yay, clap, Arsenal. What? The truth is, you can't bottle this Declan Rice transfer. He might end up being a Arsenal player. You never know. I'm not saying it's all over. Of course it's not. You never know in the summer transfer window. There's reports coming out that, he wants Arsenal, all of that. We will see 100%. So we will see what happens with Arsenal Football Club, but he could still end up being an Arsenal player. But I'm just talking about the levels of aggression from Arsenal Football Club's perspective. And I will say again what I said last week. This is what I'll say. Arsenal right now are at their Alisson and Van Dijk stage. I was the first one who said it online. I came on straight facts and I said it word for word. I said Arsenal now need that Alisson and Van Dijk window. I think Arsenal Football Club would have been better off just signing Caicedo and Rice and no one else. I know some of you will come tell me, you need a right back, you need this, you need that. No problem. You would have been in 100% much better position if you just signed Caicedo and Rice together. If your this summer was Caicedo and Rice and no one else, that would have taken you to the next level, because those two players would have elevated your team to the next level. Hello, Tarek. Those were two would have elevated your team to the next level. Now, Caicedo is probably not going to end up being at Arsenal. He's not going to end up being an Arsenal player. If Declan Rice somehow doesn't end up being an Arsenal player, it really is a problem for Arsenal Football Club, because my thing is, look, Arsenal are at a crossroads right now. They need to take themselves to the next level. Rice would help take that midfield to the next level. So would Caicedo, blah, blah, blah. With all due respect, you start talking to me about the likes of Lavia or this guy or that guy. I don't think these guys would take you to a Premier League title, because remember, you finished second. You need now in this current position, you finish second. You need players that are going to take you to first place. You need players that are going to be good enough to win the UEFA Champions League. What you go do is you sign Kai Havertz, who's essentially a failed false nine at Chelsea Football Club, to come play midfield. And according to the reports, Declan Rice is going to end up at Man City. According to the reports, that is, he could still end up at Arsenal. You never know. So this whole situation for Arsenal Football Club just shows a little bit of a lack of seriousness. It could be Edo's fault. By the way, I'm not even blaming Arteta or anything. It could be Edo's fault. It could be that Garlic guy's fault. It could be multiple different people's fault. But the truth of the matter is, Arsenal needs serious signings. Absolutely serious signings this summer transfer window, because next season, bro, you're going to be competing in the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal fans, I know you guys don't know what that feels like, because it's been a while. But you're going to be competing in the UEFA Champions League. You're going to be competing in the Premier League, trying to win it. What's the point? If you did this whole second this year, and we challenge City and blah, 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 and then go finish sixth next year. Because let me give you an example. Liverpool Football Club, 13-14, we finished second. We ended up, after we sold Suarez, you guys are not selling anyone, but we had a horrific window. Lambert, Borini, Balotelli. We just signed a bunch of quantity. If you sign the likes of Lavia and Havertz and all of this, with all due respect, you ain't going to be on nothing next season. And I think you'd actually be fighting to get top four, because it's just going to take you down that much. Much is going to take you down.
Do you know what's really interesting about it? It's, firstly, I say this to rivals. I get this banter in Arsenal and having fun. This is bad news for everybody if they get Rice. As much as I don't want Arsenal winning the league or City, I want Man United to do it. If they get Rice with Guardiola going in, Kovacic already there, I just don't see anybody catching them. And for me, this is bad news for everybody. So there should be an element of disappointment for the lot. Excuse me. But from Arsenal's point of view, they have publicly allowed the narrative to be, since February, they're winning this race. The player's happy with the personal terms. And I don't disagree with any of that. I think that's all true. But for you to allow the narrative to be that, and they could have always played it down. They could have quite easily gone to their journalists and said, look, we haven't had contact yet. We like Declan Rice. They could have played the story down, but they didn't. They allowed the story to bloom and to flourish and to grow and to spread, to be repollinated. This thing is now, it's everywhere. They have to get this deal done. I understood why they bid low to begin with. I don't disagree with the tactic, because if you bid, someone said to me last night, actually, there was an event last night, but if we'd have bid 100 million straight from the bat, City would have just matched that anyway. And that's why it's kind of hard sometimes with hindsight to play that game. But if you're ahead of the race and you're winning the race, you have to get out the water. The big blue shark is coming. I said it about a week ago. They had to do it. And now they're running a big risk. Now, the West Ham kind of contingent and in the nose have essentially stated that things are not as advanced as certain journalists are pointing out. I think they were talking about DiMaggio without mentioning him. But whatever happens, City are a hard club to fight off and beat to a player. And this is massive for Arsenal now, because if they miss out on this number one target, there will be a big percentage of the fan base that becomes angry. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating what you said. I had to run to the door. There was somebody at the front door. Sorry. But I think for me, as a Man United fan, if they don't get him, it doesn't bother me per se that Arsenal don't get him. But it's about the message it sends. It's the fact that there isn't a player available, in my opinion, as good as Declan Rice, unless you then go and get Caicedo, and that could potentially save the day. But if you end up with no Caicedo and no Declan Rice, what's the level of play you're then bringing in? You're not going up to another level. Partey and Xhaka both want to leave now because you've told them they're not wanted. So even if you keep one of them, they don't really want to be there. That can become a problem in itself. And Arsenal go from having a very good season, a very good start to the window in terms of the progression they've made with these deals. But if you don't get them over the line, you cause yourself a problem. So all the angry Arsenal fans out there, I totally 110% get where you're coming from. I understand it completely. And I think that you need, again, it still hasn't been announced that it's officially gone in yet. Maybe it has and there's a delay with it coming out. But Arsenal need to be going out now and going 100 million plus 5, 100 million plus 10. Declan Rice, I know we agreed with you 200 grand a week, 250. There's 275. Come to us. The extra, I don't agree with the notion of just spend whatever it takes. It's not my money as a general rule. But there are exceptions that are different. Arsenal, if they now overpay by 10, 15 million pound on the fee, if they now pay him 20, 30, 40,000 pound a week more salary than they were initially going to, that is worth it to stop him going to City, because an slightly like overpriced Declan Rice is better than no Declan Rice. And Arsenal have got to step up now and get this done, because Urian Timber is a great bit of business if they bring him in. Kai Havertz is a very intriguing piece of business. I'm very intrigued to see how it goes on. But with no Declan Rice, the whole window goes from potentially being a 7 or an 8 out of, or a 9 out of 10. You're dropping down to a 4 already, because he's such an important part of what Arsenal need. And they've led the race since February. They have to go and get this done, Arsenal. They really, really do. They really do.
I agree with you. I just don't know why. Like, people are just not seeing it. Like, people are just not seeing the this is the calm before the storm, type thing. Like, the storm is about to happen, and it's up to you guys if you change. Not you guys as in like Arsenal fans, because it's not in your hands. It's up to Arsenal Football Club to change things for you guys. Because okay, if you don't get Rice, you don't get Caicedo, then you're screwed. I'm gonna be honest with you, unless you go up a level. Because if you start talking about the Lavias and Zubamendi and I don't know who, all these guys, they're not gonna take you to no Premier League title. That's the thing. So
yeah,
they're just not gonna take you a Premier League title. That's the problem.
I'm seeing people in the comments say things. Well, I've got to find it now. This here, like, Rice is extremely overrated. And listen, bro, you're entitled to your opinion. I respect it. It's what the terrace was invented for. But the fact that we know that Tuchel wanted him, Arteta wants him, Pep wants him, Eric Ten Hag wants him. The fact that some of the best managers in the world, the best football team in the world currently, the treble winners, want to buy him, there has to be. And by the way, they're all willing to spend north of 90 to 100 million pounds, which makes him one of the most expensive football players in the history of football. Makes him only second to Jack Grealish, and it might end up being higher than Jack Grealish, maybe the most expensive British player of all time. They're both willing to go near to or break their transfer records for him. There has to be something. I just, this notion of fans saying he's just overrated, that for me is so reductionist and oversimplified, and just, it's almost like me saying Pavarotti was overrated just because I don't like opera music. It's just because you don't like the style of footballer Declan Rice is, doesn't mean he's overrated, when the best of the best in the world want to sign him. Bayern Munich wanted to sign him. The only big club that are not really looking at him in recent times has been Real Madrid, but they don't need him with Tchouaméni, Jude Bellingham, Camavinga, and what they've already got. But if he was available and they had a hole, they'd look at him as well. He's that good a football player, in my opinion, which is why Arsenal need to get it done. That's why 110%, in my opinion, they have to go and get it done. There's some super chats here. First one says, what are the realistic add-ons? What are some realistic add-ons should be put in place to get a bid accepted? Arsenal must get it done. Well, realistic ones will be, every 50 appearances will give you another £2.5 million, up to the value of 10 million. As an example, every 20 Champions League appearances, you get paid £1 million, up to a maximum of 50. Something along those lines. It's realistic and it's achievable, and it isn't based on you winning things. That's the way of doing it. But aside from that, offer them £100 million cash in 2 installments, 50 and 50, or 60 up front, 40 next year. No incentives. You've whatever City offer, you've got to make it better. You have to make it better, because as great as Arsenal's project is, as much as they improved last year, this is Pep Guardiola, the champions of England, and only for the second time ever in English football, treble winners. That is hard to compete against in any capacity. So what you need to do is make West Ham accept the bid, because what I do believe is true is that Declan Rice would love to play for Arsenal. But as Ben Jacobs has explained many times on the terrace, players can agree personal terms with 3 or 4 clubs. Clubs very rarely bid or make serious inquiries unless players have agreed to join. And the fact that Arsenal, City, and now Man United have all made some level of bid tells you that he's happy to join all 3. So it isn't just about agreeing personal terms. It's about blowing your opponents out of the water. And listen, I'll be, as a rival, if Arsenal better City's offer, better the wages City offer, all I can do is take my hat off to them and go, that's serious. The whole Arsenal walked away because they felt there was no value in the deal anymore. If that's what your media tells you in the end, I'd be fuming. Because
I don't think they're serious now. That's the problem. You
really
know,
don't.
I really don't think they're serious now. You're talking about Rice, Caicedo, levels like that. If they go a level below that, you start talking about like Lavia and shit. They're just not going to go anywhere. I'm going to be honest with you, because they're trying to win a league title. They're trying to win the Champions League, and they can't do that. They can't do that with these youngsters. They really can't. So that's the issue. That's the issue for Arsenal. Lack of seriousness. Because listen, these other clubs are always going to have more money to pay. And with all due respect to Arsenal, City are of course a much more attractive club to go to. I think Liverpool as well are a more attractive club to go to, but we don't spend money, so we're never going to be in for someone like Rice. But like there are clubs in this world that are more attractive than you. Just because you think like you finish second the year and all this, okay, you're attractive. You're a London club, you're a massive club, all of this. But at the end of the day, you can't sit here and say. And by the way, the add-ons question: Arsenal winning the Champions League is not a realistic add-on. That's not realistic.
No, it's not.
It's not because who like how can you guarantee Arsenal win the Champions League in these next 3-4 years? That's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 million that West Ham are going to lose on. That's the thing. So like those things matter. Those things matter too. Well, or just forget add-ons. Just put the money up, as exactly what Terry said. If City pay 95 plus 5 million add-ons, just call West Ham and go like, here's 100 million, no add-ons, and that's it. Let's just play. Let's just get Rice. That's as simple as that. You can't be sitting here just dilly-dallying with this BS.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree. Completely agree with you. We're going to come back to Arsenal in a minute, but there has been some breaking news from David Ornstein, who states that Man United made an improved third offer for the Mason Mount worth 50 million plus 5 million in add-ons. So Man United have basically offered 5 million more than what they did earlier. So the 55 to 60 that a lot of journalists were quoting isn't quite true. It's going to be 50 to 55 million. So 5 million more. And Ornstein hasn't said this, but other journalists have. Man United have essentially said, kind of take it or leave it, if that made sense. We might walk. The maddest headline I saw yesterday is if we walk away from him, we might go for Caicedo instead. And I'm thinking we should be going for Caicedo as well. That was what I thought on there.
That's like if I fail to buy a bicycle, I'm gonna buy a Ferrari. Like what? Like
yeah, if I don't get this Ford Cougar car, I'm gonna go and get a Range Rover instead. Yeah, it was a weird one, a very very weird one to me. But that bid has gone.
Man United do have a history of caving in. Then exactly what the journalist said. They did cave in.
Well, no, but we haven't though. We haven't caved in on this. To defend my club here, so I'll take the mic 1 minute. I'll defend it. Ben Jacobs, when we first got linked to them 3 weeks ago, said Man United don't want to pay over 60 million. That was our upper limit, was 60 million. So if we get him for 55, we've gone higher than our original bid, but we haven't gone above what we were willing to pay. It would be Chelsea that caved because initially there was quotes of 75, 80 million. So if we get him for 55, that's 20 to 30 million pound less than they initially wanted. So yeah, I think for us,
crazy, honestly, Chelsea are crazy.
Mate, it's going to be interesting to see how that deal works out. I know we already spoke about it earlier on in the show, but it's certainly going to be interesting. Manny here says, already anticipating a Zubimendi and nobody CM prospect from Brazil arrivals. Edu has been moving like Ivan Gazidez. I will easily lose fans' trust. Yeah, if they lose out on this deal, fans are done with Edu. Like Edu is done at Arsenal Football Club. If this happens, there is no way, no shape, no form that will enable the even the. It's. I mean, I saw a lot of the TPFs, the toxic positivity fans came out yesterday. They came at Jess. Jess tweeted that she was really I actually didn't read her tweet, to be fair. She just told me she was disappointed. They started coming for her. Why are you being negative? Why are you being annoyed? It's like we've been leading since February and we're not going to get our number one target. Why would any Arsenal fan not be annoyed? Like that's where the balance has to come in. Manny also says here, what's annoying is some Arsenal fans are telling other Arsenal fans to be calm. I just said that. We are anything but calm. We've seen failure signings after another. I pray Declan Rice comes because I've got nowhere to hide. Is what
Manny, blink twice if you need our help, brother. I got you, man.
And the thing is, Arsenal fans should be annoyed if they don't get him. Look, we're linked to Onana right now. We're nowhere near as long-winded a saga as Rice. If we're close to getting him and then somebody else buys him instead of us, I'm going to be annoyed because he would improve us. The only way
you're so obsessed with just being calm and collected all the time.
Mate,
it's okay to be upset for your club, you know? Like, and like, if you say no to Rice and you buy Caicedo, me and Terry probably, on straight facts, come say like, okay, they didn't get Rice, but they got Caicedo. We're going to go like, well done, Arsenal. But if you don't get Rice and Caicedo, what do you expect us to say, guys? Like, you also have to understand, we also have to be realistic about this. I think if you don't sign Rice or Caicedo, and exactly what Manny just said happens, you go sign Zubomendi or Lavia or blah, 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 you're going to be in a top 4 race next season. Just like that, you're going to be in a top 4 race. Look at me. I was talking to Terry about a quadruple this time last year. Now I'm in 5th place. Whoa.
Mate, 100, yeah, 110%. And this is the thing. And it all then depends on what else Man United do, what else Liverpool do. And we've criticized Man United and Liverpool at times on today's show, but you've just got to stay one step ahead. And I think Arsenal getting Rice with everything else they're linked to, you look at it on paper and you think, I don't know if we're catching them next year. Whether they get City or not is a different conversation, but you're looking to get in front of everybody, and they missed out on him. I'm rubbing my hands together as a Man United fan with who else we're linked to, especially if our takeover, goes through in the coming days. This here says, I would have Kimmich, Frankie, Barella over Rice.
Yes.
Yes.
So would everyone.
Yeah. And firstly, your manager disagrees to an extent, but equally, people have got to remember this. It's not about who's better always. There's no blanket way of saying this, but it's about who's attainable. Bayern Munich have just said they will point blank refuse to sell Kimmich unless you offer money, which is 180 million. Okay. And you're not going to do that. Frankie de Jong, Barca are refusing to sell now. So again, and he doesn't want to leave. So he doesn't want to leave.
He wants to stay at Barca.
And Barca are refusing to sell. So again, unattainable. Barella is a different matter. But I don't think Barella and Declan Rice are the same profile as player anyway. But I get where you're coming from. Barella may be available, but you're still looking at about 100 million for him. And I remember when Man United signed Maguire. Now it's a bad example because he hasn't turned out to be as good as I want. But at the time, people said, I can name you 5 better centre-backs in the Prem. And they named them. We were on a stream. The guy named them. And he named 5 centre-backs in the Prem that would never sell. They were like 3 of them were at City and 2 of them were at Liverpool. I said, okay, so forget Maguire. Take your point logically. You just named 5 players Man United could never sign. So it doesn't matter if those 5 players are better. If you can't sign them, they're irrelevant for the conversation. It's like every time someone signs a striker going, well, what's the point? You should have got Haaland. You can't buy Haaland from City. So you can't get the best striker in the world. And like Lee Gunner said,
Kimmich and Frankie are both unattainable, and Barella is very difficult to bring from Italy.
I want to tell you this. Lee Gunner the other day said Man United shouldn't have given Rashford a new deal. We should have sold him and signed. We should go and sign Vinny Jr.
Bro, come on, man. Come on. Let's be serious.
Exactly.
I swear, I love Lee. Like, I speak to Lee.
I love Lee. I love him. But
Lee, I don't know what you're smoking in Spain, brother. Wake up. Wake up.
He's got a great shot, bruv. This here says Arsenal are still Arsenal is just Spurs in red, bottling everything, is what Anton says. Arsenal will miss out on Rice and Caicedo, in my opinion. Well, that'll be even more disastrous if that happened like in that order. I wanted to ask you actually before I go to the next super chat. What do you make of the Timber situation? Because Arsenal are about to put a second bid. I'm just going to read it here actually because I want to make sure I get this correct. So it says Arsenal are preparing a second bid for Urian Timber. Sources close to the deal believe a completion is close. Like, how good a piece of business is Urian Timber to Arsenal in your view?
Can I also talk about Havertz before we move on to the next club? Because I need to talk about this as well.
Let's do Havertz first then. Let's do Havertz first and then we'll come back to Timber.
I need to talk. I need to talk about this because I think Timber's a good one. So, we've started with the crap thing with the Rice. Let's just continue on the crap before we actually give the happy ending. So here's the thing. When it comes to Kai Havertz, guys, I'm thinking about it. I hear what the tacticals are saying. They're saying he's going to be Xhaka's replacement as the left-sided 8, essentially, Kai Havertz. Guys, this will not work. I promise you, Kai Havertz to Arsenal is not going to work because he's not better than Jesus in Jesus' profile. Jesus' profile is the false 9 that, is incredible as an incredible footballer. He's not going to work over there. And let me tell you another thing about Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz don't actually have ability like that. Kai Havertz is just aesthetically pleasing to watch. Kai Havertz does not have the traits But when you watch him play, he strides with the football, so it looks nice. But when it comes to the final third passes, when it comes to the short passes, when it comes to all of these things, Kai Havertz don't have that. And if you play Kai Havertz as the left-sided 8, your defense is going to get so destroyed. It wouldn't matter if you sign Pablo Maldini as your left back, Alessandro Nesta as your center back, you know, I don't know, whoever as the other center back. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Havertz, Zinchenko is so weak. Salah is going to have, he's going to have 3-course meals against any like, you know, above average right winger in this league will turn that side into his absolute meal. And it just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. 65 million on Kai Havertz is a mistake. No one here can convince me otherwise. I couldn't care. It's 100% a mistake. If he plays in Xhaka's place, it's a disaster. He ain't going to bench any of your two. He ain't going to bench Saka. He ain't going to bench Martinelli. He ain't going to bench Jesus because Jesus actually has ability. He definitely ain't going to bench Odegaard. So, like, you just, if you're telling me he's going to be a replacement or a bench option, you just paid 65 million for a bench option. Like, what? So this whole thing, Arsenal fans, I understand. Your rebuttal is, I trust Mikel Arteta and he got me here and blah, blah, blah. No problem. But also you can't be blind. If the guy tomorrow, he signs Robertson and he says he wants to play Robertson right wing, are you going to go like, I trust Arteta? Be realistic, bro. We've seen Havertz. Havertz just doesn't work at Arsenal Football Club. I'm sorry. I really just don't think this works. There's just BS, man. Everyone's just trying to accept what their club do now. Like, how the hell are you telling me Havertz in the 8? He failed as a false 9. He failed as a false 9. And now you're going to play him in the 8. And one of the most competitive, physical, strong midfield war like leagues in on earth. There is no midfield that has to cover more ground, fight more every single week in, week out than Premier League midfielders. These guys are coming off the pitch. Their shirts are changing colors and shit because they've fought so much and they've tackled so much. You've essentially lost the defensive side. And now you're taking the offensive side and you're like, okay, we're going to box them in. Okay, no problem. You know what? Havertz in the 8 is going to work. If you're playing Luton Town at home, I dare you. I dare you come play against me with Havertz in the 8. You know what? Even if I just sign McAllister, I'm ruining Arsenal Football Club. And here's the thing. Let me give them the happy ending. Jurriën Timber, I think, is a very good signing. I'm level-headed, guys. I'm not here to just shit on Arsenal. I'm not. I want Arsenal to win. You can ask Terry. I wanted Arsenal to win the league. I don't want City to win the league. I'm not one of these guys who are like, oh my God, Man City, blah, blah, blah. I want Arsenal Football Club to win the league last season. I wanted them to win it. So in order for you guys to be competitive and this league not to become the actual Bundesliga, you know, where the other team just wins it 500 times in a row, you need to sign class players, right? Havertz is definitely not that. Rice is that. Caicedo is that. And I think Timber, he is Timber elite? No. But he is the level below elite. So Timber is like, let's assume there are A-star defenders in the world. Timber is like B+. You know, that's Timber, which is still very good. And it gives you the option to like, because I know a lot of Arsenal fans kind of just put so much pressure on Rob Holding. And a lot of them blamed him as well for their fall off last summer. I think now with Jurriën Timber as a backup, that's next level to Rob Holding, which is exactly what you need right now. So, yeah.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
I want to ask you a question. I get everything you're saying.
Yes.
And I've been very consistent and honest with Arsenal fans on this because I'll do the same thing with Mason Mount. So I agree with you. I'm not just accepting what my club's doing. I've questioned it. I'm thinking, is there a better option? But because I trust my manager, I'm saying, but okay, I'm going to stop being negative about it, sit back and give it time to cook, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think about Henderson at Liverpool as a prime example. You know, Klopp didn't sign him, but he inherited him and fans wanted him out. I think about Granit Xhaka at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta as an example. So they're just 2 examples, and the viewers can probably think of others. They're just 2 that spring to my mind of players that everybody said can't cope, not at the level, will never get better, and have gone on to improve. Now, I understand Xhaka's now going to go, but he's aging out. They want to move him on. But the levels that he's shown in the last 2 years under Arteta compared to the rest of his time at Arsenal are massive. What Klopp got out of Henderson, nobody believed he was capable of, leading you to Premier League titles, Champions League titles. And when you were winning those trophies, Henderson was amazing. I know he's fallen off now, but he was amazing for your team and your system. Is it not conceivable that a manager like Arteta could see someone like Havertz and just say, I know I can get the best out of him and turn him into a much better player? Now, that's the argument. That's the only argument I hear for this that holds water. When people say I'm trusting my manager, there's got to be something about your manager and an example that you can give as to why. So I said earlier, the reason I'm not panicking about Mount is I remember everybody's reaction to us signing Martinez last year. I remember the reaction to us signing Casemiro last year, but my manager knew what the hell he was doing. Is there not an argument to say that Arteta could do something similar this year?
No. And I'll tell you why. There is not an argument for that to happen. Who's a better manager, Arteta or Tuchel?
I'd say Tuchel right now with these achievements, yes.
I agree. Tuchel played Havertz everywhere. He tried Havertz on the wing. He tried Havertz in the false nine. He played Havertz next to another striker, and it never worked out for Chelsea. It never worked out. So you're telling me Thomas Tuchel couldn't get the best out of the gem that's Kai Havertz, but somehow Arteta will? Like, come on, like, you guys, wallahi, we have to be realistic here. Like, Terry doesn't bring me on straight facts so I can sit here and massage everyone's ego, whoever you support. I'm supposed to support all your signings. Havertz, it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. And with the whole Henderson stuff, okay, you make a very valid point. But Henderson is just a work rate player. And at the same time, we're not asking Henderson to change position, Terry. The biggest problem is as follows, right? If I'm going to give you a completely different scenario where Havertz would have made sense. If they signed Havertz for 20 million and he was Jesus' backup, I'd be like, you know what, that's fair. That's good business. If they sign him for 65 million and you tell me he's going to play as an 8, it's just not going to work. Because essentially, there's an entire part of being an 8 that's just not there, which is the defensive element. We know that he cannot defend as a midfielder. He might be able to defend as a false 9, but not as a midfielder.
I understand where you're coming from. I do. And listen, my example, just trying to create a bit of content, really, get some deeper opinions. That's what I like about working with you. You don't take questions personally, and they're not trying to catch you out. They try to understand. I kind of get where you're coming from. But again, my caveat answer would be, who's a better manager, Pep Guardiola or Laurent Blanc?
Pep Guardiola, definitely.
Laurent Blanc got a lot more out of Zlatan Ibrahimovic than Pep did. So, and that's the thing.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Well, no, I do. But for me, it's a case of, again, there are probably countless examples of a lesser manager getting more out of a certain player than a better manager. The reason I'm just saying this is I look at Arteta and I look at his signings. Look at all these signings that are over 18 million, 20 million. Every single one of them has done well, barring Fabio right now, Vieira. He's the only one who I would say has got a lot to improve. But the rest of them have all been a resounding success, and so many of them were criticised. Gabriel, Ben White. I remember the way the media reacted to Tomiyasu. They didn't even know what position he played in. What's the point of Gabriel Jesus? Zinchenko is a bench man. And nearly every single one of those, like Partey, was like, slow start, but turned good. He was ridiculed for all those signings. They were laughed at. They overpaid. And the progression of the team over the last few years with those signings put them into a title race that nobody expected. That's the only part of me where I'm, like with Mason Mount, I'm sort of 70 to 80% thinking not good enough deals. But then there's a part of me that just says, but we've doubted so many things they've done before and been completely wrong. What if here? And I would say that to Chelsea fans. Listen, to you, it doesn't matter. If Kai Havertz kills it at Arsenal, your opinion will be wrong, but I know you won't care. You're not soft. You're not weak.
Yeah,
I would say the Chelsea fans are overly celebrating the Kais and the Mounts leaving. I would just keep your powder a little bit more dry, because if they start to deliver, the banter's on you. And I'll just slow down a little bit. Don't shoot your load now, because you'll have nowhere else to go. Do you know what I'm saying? But
fair,
look, it's going to be an interesting.
The Chelsea fans are hosting parties. They're just they're actually hosting like Mount leaving party, Havertz leaving party. They're excited.
Football fans are like this though. Like last night.
But I actually understand it from their perspective though, because they have let them down for 3 years. So even if they succeed elsewhere,
I get
It's
that.
just some freshness, you know.
I get that. There's a few super chats here. First one says that Robertson example was such garbage. Waffler is what Ronnie Michaels says
So
here.
Havertz is a false nine who's going to play an 8. Robertson is a left back who's going to play right wing. Tomato. See? It's not a bad example. You just didn't want to listen. You're looking at the team that I support, not the words that's coming out my mouth. Focus with me.
This here says Husam Havertz gets more GA than Xhaka. I bet you £10.
Salah gets more GA than Saka. Like, we know. Like, okay, and like Havertz is better going forward than Xhaka. I'm talking about the entire opposite side. The entire opposite side that just won't work defensively. That's been my argument all along. And Kai Havertz doesn't have ability like Xhaka does, by the way. I think Xhaka as a midfielder is better than Havertz. As a midfielder, he's better than Havertz, 100%. No one can sit here and deny that. Xhaka's a lot better defensively, and Xhaka probably has the ability as well. He has a long shot taking ability. He has the ability to pass short passes in midfield that Havertz doesn't have yet. You guys don't understand. You're trying to win a league next season, right? So this whole like he got more GA than Xhaka. At the end of the day, it won't matter if you're conceding 3 goals every week.
This here says I don't get how Havertz has been sold for more than Mount.
Fair.
I'm not gonna.
It could be the contract here. That's the only logical answer I have.
Yep, it could be. But in terms of the bid for Mason Mount, there's been a bit more information that's come out on the Mason Mount bid, just to let you all know. I want to read through this here. So I sent this message that said it's 55 million plus 5. Sorry, 50 million plus. 50 million plus 5.
Yeah.
But the add-ons are now better. So not add-ons, sorry, the structure. So essentially, it looks like Man United are going to pay a little bit. They're either going to pay more up front, or rather than spreading it over 5 or 6 years, it might be spread only over 2 or 3. So the structure is going to be a little bit better. So it's only a slight improvement in terms of monetary value of the bid. Different games call for different players. When we are up against a low block, we could do with those 3 in midfield. And also, we are bringing Timber to do Zinchenko's role on the other side, which will obviously bolster the midfield area there. Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on Uri and Timber, because that second bid is going to go in for him imminently. We are made to believe, in relation to what the media have said. How good a signing do you think this could be for Arsenal if they pull it off?
Timber, you mean?
Yeah.
I think Timber. Yeah, I think Timber is going to be a great signing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Timber is. I just touched on it earlier on, but I think you need depth as well in a title race. You look at the likes of you look at the likes of, for example, a Rob Holding as just a quick example, and it's like it was bad. It was real bad last year. I think people went overdone it as an excuse, but he was bad last year. The good thing about Timber is he could actually play right back now. I think there's a world in which Arsenal probably have signed him to play right back. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it could be like a Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko back 5. I think there's a world in which that genuinely is the reality of the matter. These 4 playing as the back 4. It could be these 4. We can never sit here and say never. And he gives you an extra depth option in centre back alongside a Tomiyasu, who's a lot more solid than Rob Holding. So this is a positive signing for Arsenal, which I think is definitely a step in the right direction in terms of depth and price tag wise. It makes sense too, given his age, given everything. So look, Arsenal Football Club signing Timber, I will clap for them. I think this is a good thing. So I have no problem with them signing Timber.
Yeah, I think it's a good bit of business, mate. I think it is. Interesting news that's come out about it this afternoon is that Ajax are now saying they want 60 million euros for the player. Mike Verveil has revealed, and this man is on it when it comes to Dutch news, that there is no buyout clause. Ajax are seeking 60 million, but the expectations is that he will get sold for between 40 and 50 million euros. So to give you a range on that, people, because the exchange rate's changing all the time, 40 million euros is 35 million pounds, 50 is 42. So between 35 and 42 million, which is what I was tweeting that the other day, was what I expected them to get it done. But if they bring him in for about 35 million, 35, 36, 37, that's very good. For 2023, that's an exceptional piece of business. It really is. I'm a little jealous, really, because we probably haven't got, we haven't. Like, we've got Delo, we haven't got a player like him on the right. So I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie. I am a little bit jealous. I'd like us to be going in for him. I suppose, though, look, I know we got away with having one short defender. Could you have a centre-back pairing in the future where they're both like 5'8", 5'9"? I don't know. I don't know if they can both be that size, but...
In the Prem, no. In the Prem, no.
Yeah, because he's not very tall. He's not very tall, Timber. But we'll see. What is his height in feet? What is he?
He's 5'9", I think it is.
Oh, he's 6 foot according to this. He's 6 foot. Someone told me the other day that he was about 5'10". No, he's 6 foot according to Google. Google could be wrong, though. It's been known to do that before. This super chat here says, good look at Havertz defensive numbers. Not that bad, is what's been said.
Pressuring two centre backs is not the same as fighting against two midfielders in the English Premier League. It's a totally different type of thing, Comdian. That's what I'm saying. Comdian, you know, like, just look at what I'm saying. I'm saying the guy has to fight other Premier League midfielders. When he's at Chelsea, he's pressing centre backs. Those defensive stats are not the same. They're not the same, man.
This here says that Robertson is a full-blown defender. Havertz has a history of playing across the midfield, attack in his career. Focus. Kai
Havertz, I went to check the statistics. In 360-something games, has played 18 games in central midfield. That's it. I wouldn't say history of playing in midfield. That's just 18 games out of 360-something. So 99% of the time he's been a center forward / false nine, which is completely different to playing an 8 in the English Premier League.
There we go. There we go. See, it's changed now. It's, I don't know, 5'9" is what somebody else is saying he is now. Someone sent me a link saying he's 5'9". Someone else sent me another link saying he's 6 foot. So I know
is 5'9" too, because we were linked to him. I swear he's 5'9".
5'9" according to this on the conversion rate. So 1.82 meters equals 5.97 feet, according to this. Someone just sent me like a predetermined conversion thing. I get sent so much stuff in my DMs, it's crazy. But thank you. How can Husam sit here and say 100% no, like he knows better than all these top coaches that play Havertz? There is a reason every coach plays him.
This is just so Comdian. So why? So now we have to ask a bigger question. What does anyone know then on YouTube? Does everyone need to have a UEFA coaching license to talk about football? We all watch football with our eyes. We can form our own opinions. And objectively speaking, let me use a different club so you don't have an emotional attachment. Objectively speaking, Husam was right and Klopp was wrong last summer. Klopp was better than Arteta. So where do we go from here? See, we can both play this game. You know, just here's the thing. If you actually have a footballing response to it, I have no problem. But don't come tell me that's just, it's just because Arteta wants him and that's it. Like, that's supposed to shut me up. That ain't going to shut me up. So what? So what? Players have made shit signings since beginning of time. Ferguson's made shit signings. Pep's made shit signings. Klopp's made shit signings. Mourinho's made shit signings. Shit signings happen, bro. This is the world of football. The managers make bad signings. It's happened from the history of whenever signings started. So this whole idea that just because top coaches want him or play him or blah blah blah, it's just. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just don't see that as some sort of like flex. Like, okay, and Arteta can make mistakes.
Yeah. By the way, I've been sent another converter that says it's 5'11", and now what I realize 5'11 inches. What the other one is, just reading it properly, it's 5.97. It's 5 feet and 9.7 and loads more decimals of another foot. But that 0.9 isn't an inch. That 0.9 is almost another foot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So it's yes. So it depends on the conversion. So yeah, I've been saying 3 different things. One says I think he's 5'11". He's 5'11", which is nearly 6 foot. he's almost 6 foot. With studs on, boots on, he's probably 6 foot. And you've seen those trainers you can buy online now. Add 2 inches, they 6'1". So yeah, he's fine. They'd be great.
Oh, he's not 5'9". Yes, you're right. He's 5'11". Because I was thinking I'm 186, which is 6'1". How is he 182 and 5'9"? That didn't make sense.
Yes, well,
I
it's
saw the
like
11.
it's basically like 2.5 centimeters to an inch, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah. He's only going to be a couple of inches shorter than yourself. So my whole life, I thought I was 5'9", and then like years ago, I went to the gym and I did like a medical thing, and I did my height. And, oh, you're 5'10" and a bit. I was like, oh, that's a touch. I got told I was 5'9" at school. Maybe that was when I was at school, so maybe I grew a little bit. I was like, this is banging. This is banging. But it's always one of them things. Do you know, my whole life, I've never really worried about height. Like my whole life, I never really got called short. I knew I wasn't very tall, but I never really worried about it. It was only one time. I was in a bar. I was about 21, and I was not getting served. I was getting annoyed, and I said to the barmaid when she walked past, "Excuse me," I said, "I've been waiting ages. Do you mind serving me?" And she went, "Are you just angry because you're short?" And the maddest bit about it that made me laugh. I laughed. I was like, I looked to the left and to my right. I was one of the tallest at the bar. It didn't even make sense. It didn't even make sense. I was like, that's the only time I ever felt a little conscious about my height. But yeah, there we go. Anyway, we digress on that one. This here says Havertz and Mount are 10s. Good luck, and Kunku is better. I hear you on that. Thank you. All I'll say is you can't be so sure. He also comes back here and says Havertz will not play in those intense games in midfield. He will be used there for teams that have low blocks. Football is not that black and white, is what's been said.
65 million just for a player who plays against Luton Town at home. Like,
Maybe.
we've got to be real here, bro. Like, you guys, any other club signs a signing for 65 million, you'd expect him to start. If you wake up tomorrow and you see Liverpool have signed Caicedo, just as an example, for 65 million, you'd expect him to start every week. Come on, man.
Yeah. I left school at 5'5" and now 5'11". Well done,
Well
Mark.
done.
I had a friend once, like most of my friends, like over the 6 week summer holiday, we used to get 6 weeks summer break here in the UK for school. I don't know what you got in Jordan. And we had one friend, he was like 5'2", honestly. Came back, man was like 6 something. He grew like a foot in the summer, but man had painful knees. Man was in pain for like months. He grew so quickly that it made me die. Quality depth costs. Just look at City and how we lost, is what Mehmet says here.
True.
18/360 is still a history, you sausage.
18 out of 360 is not considerable history. Come on, man. By the way, Salah's played left back.
What does 18 out of 360 mean? Is that games?
No. Kai Havertz says this is the same guy that said Robertson was a bad example.
Ah, right. I get you now.
Salah played left back for more than 18 games. That does not mean that I want him playing left back now.
This here says that if Rice, Timber, Havertz, Lavia, or Zubimendi plus 1 or 2 more, not an 8 out of 10 window. Damasio is not reliable anyways. Where is City's bid? That'd be a pretty good window if you pull that off. What I'll say is this about Damasio. Damasio is credible. He hasn't said a bid's gone in. He said talks are advancing and there's a confidence. Remember, there's a difference between. I don't differentiate between official bid and inquiries. I believe they're the same thing. They're the same thing. I've given this example many times before. Comdean. If I walk up to a lady, if I'm in a club and I see a lady I like, but I walk up to a friend and say, "Can you ask your friend if she'd be happy to take my number for me to take her out?" 10 minutes later, I see her friend. I go, "Oh, what did she say?" And she says, "Nah, she's not interested." I'm still getting rejected. Even though I didn't officially ask her out, I still got rejected. For me, they're all the same thing. That's just the way I look at this stuff. Preach Terry, City give me nightmares. If they land Rice, we might as well take the 2023-24 Premier League trophy to the Etihad.
Agreed.
I hear you on that.
Just end the league. Give them the trophy.
How about Arsenal go in for Camavinga? Stop it. Just stop it. Bruno Gomares and Lucas Paqueta upgrade United.
Of course.
Yeah,
Bruno D would take that midfield to the next level. 100%.
I think he would, definitely. They're very good players, both of them. Top 5 right now: City, Liverpool, United, Newcastle, Chelsea. See, I think it's mad to predict Arsenal out of the top 5 right now. I think I think you're doing too much. You're doing too much there, my friend. Too much.
Man didn't even put that top 5. That's wild.
Do you think Odegaard could play the 8 and let Havertz play the 10 and have Jesus and Havertz switch in the game? Maybe. But again, it's those hard battling midfield games. Is that what Odegaard's going to be good at? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he does it, but I've never really seen him play that deep. So
Odegaard as the 10 had like 15 non-penalty goals. That's definitely that's you're not gonna move Odegaard from his preferred position. I'm gonna be honest with you. That would be silly. He was one of your best, if not your best player this whole year, So
Very
got to
true.
respect it.
Love you, Sam. So we win more points all round. Better is what he says there.
Defense wins you titles. Attack wins you games.
True. It doesn't matter who you think is a better coach. Arteta could easily get more out of Havertz. What the F? What's with the smug, absolute tone of this guy? Ronnie
I like
Michael.
I like how I've really gotten under Ronnie's skin. You know, Ronnie, if you get Rice and Caicedo instead of Havertz or any of these bozos you're linked with, you'd win the league next season. Your problem is you're listening to you're not listening to the argument. That's your problem, and you just want to back the manager regardless of what. The truth is, I'm not sat here to back any manager blindly, including my own. I challenged Terry's club for signing Mason Mount. I challenge my club if we signed any of these guys as well. I'd say all this truth. It's just reality. And when it comes to this whole thing, like, are you saying Arteta could get more out of Havertz? You know, he could, maybe he could, but Tuchel, who's a better coach and an unbelievably incredible man manager as well, as we know, as we've seen before, I don't think if he couldn't get the best out of Havertz when he's tried in multiple different places, then I doubt Arteta would. You know, some players are just not that good, man.
There we go. Every coach in Chelsea plays Havertz because we had no striker. Why are rivals acting like we had a choice not to play him? Is what C says. It's a good point.
Didn't you sign Fofana this season? Why didn't you play Fofana?
Fair.
Food for thought.
If it was 30 million, it would be okay. You can get quality midfielders for 60 from top 5 leagues. No excuses. Should have been at least a loan with an option to buy, like João Felix. Maybe. That's how you compete with City, is by building 60 million pound bench players.
No, that's not how you compete with City. That's just absolutely false. That's just absolutely false. I beat City, so I know what it's like competing with City and beating them and losing out to them. You don't need no 65 million, midfield signings unless they're starting for you. Look, Liverpool made just 2 60 million plus signings, and that's Alisson and Van Dijk. If your 2 60 million plus pound signings are Rice and Caicedo, that elevates you. But you've got to be smart with it. You know, what if Havertz is your next Darwin Núñez? Like, you never know.
Very, very, very true. This here says Havertz over McAllister. Yes, I'm coping, is what Manny says.
You know, yesterday I was speaking to the Arsenal fans. In my mind, I was thinking, like, McAllister actually suits exactly this role, like replacing Xhaka, because he could play 6, 8, and 10, and he's tenacious, and he could do all the stuff you'd expect a midfielder to do. Low-key, he would have actually suited Arsenal as well.
Yeah, could have done. He absolutely could have done. I can jump on and argue with Husam. Not today. We're almost at the end of the show, but we can do that another time, my friend. I promise. I don't get the Havertz deal. That said, I didn't get Ben White and I didn't get Odegaard. I'll hold judgment for now. At least that's fair. That's fair logic. It's fair logic. Yeah. Mohammed here says, you Brits with your inches, feet. I don't know what STIs. STIs and yards. Yeah, look, we're a little strange with our system, but it's all messed up. You know, miles per hour we use. We mix like modern and old when it comes to measurements and distance. It's kind of weird what we do over here. But yeah, that's just the way it is. Look, I want to thank everybody that's tuned into the show today. I want to thank everyone for your super chats, hitting the like button, subscribing. Sam, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon.